Shamefully, public officials and government agencies responsible for judicial oversight and established organizations of the bar have failed in their duty to protect against the corrosion of our courts. They have not only looked the other way, but have actively participated in cover-up. Cruel and inhuman incarcerations by judges. Our entire panel gives testimony today here at FIT TV. We'll be back in 50 seconds. Okay, welcome. We are back. Thank you. That was I Fought the Law by Bobby Fuller, a 1966 oldie. You may remember that. So I fought the law and the law won. Well, judges, judicial misconduct, abuses, incarcerations, that's the topic for the day. And I have with me to discuss this on my far left, Elena Sassower from www.judgewatch.org. She's the coordinator and co-founder of that organization.
Center for Judicial Accountability.
Oh, yeah, you didn't tell me that, okay. Thank you. And to her right and to my left, Dyandria Darrell, a jailed mother, and also activist and public access provider, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And the president of Children at Risk Incorporated. It's a 501c3 organization.
You guys should have been telling me this before the show started instead of yapping. Okay, my far right, Bill Kirchhoff, retired court officer. Okay, the subject, I fought the law. And I read this and I stole this little insert about the shameful public officials from your website. Do you have any comment about that website entry I took?
You didn't steal it. It's open to all.
Thank you.
And that you subscribe to it is testament to what is going on. And what is going on is lawlessness by judges. It's not that I fought the law and the law won. Judges are putting themselves above the law. They're breaking the law, and they're getting away with it. And that's what our organization, the Center for Judicial Accountability, documents.
And unfortunately, that's more common than not.
Is that judges and also lawyers or
No.
anybody in the legal system? Okay.
We have more than enough to do documenting judicial lawlessness. The fact of the matter is that the bar associations are complicitous with judicial lawlessness, abuse, misconduct. They fail to take steps to protect their clients. And indeed, there are no remedies that are meaningful for them to pursue to protect clients. All the remedies are essentially sham, illusory, useless. That's why I was incarcerated. That's why Dyandria was incarcerated. And I think that's what you're going to be speaking about as well.
As a retired court officer, it's embarrassing to say that I was arrested 8 times and spent 6 nights in jail. Unfortunately, it took almost 3.5 years to get vindicated. Thousands and thousands of dollars of funds that should have gone for my children's college education went down the drain, and then I was forced to represent myself. But once there's a false allegation made and an order of protection is issued, that order of protection is now an arrest warrant for the person who holds the order of protection. They can claim anything, and by virtue of having the order of protection, once they produce that to a police officer, whether the facts they portray are true or not, you're spending the night in jail. There's no bail. You are held until you see a judge the following morning, and you're arraigned on the alleged charges for whatever you have purportedly done. In my case, 4 of them were instantly dismissed, and the other 4, it took almost 3.5 years to litigate to have them dismissed. But it's abuse of the system, and too many people have learned how to abuse it, and there's no recourse for you as the victim of being abused and arrested.
So a lot of things can happen to you in a custody battle, too, if that happens first, which is
well, in
subject
my
for another
case,
show,
that's what it was. It
Yeah.
was involving a custody issue because the finances really weren't a problem. We agreed to 50%, but my ex didn't want to agree to joint custody. In the end, we wound up with joint custody, but it was torture to get through it.
Let's get to the ladies about their situation regarding how much time and what got you in jail and what's going on here. You know, take your pick on who wants to start, but I want to hear the story a little bit, if you don't mind.
Well, I think Dyandria really should go first because she was incarcerated
longest story?
for the longest time.
Okay, go ahead, Dyandria.
Well, I was incarcerated for 3 years, as you know, and for simply being an activist.
Let's say that again a little louder. How many years?
3 years
3 years.
in Rikers Island, which is cruel and inhumane in itself because prisoners who commit murders get to go upstate in a state prison. They get to have 6 to 8 hours of outdoors, grass. It's much more humane. But in any event, the fact that I was placed in there by judges, family court judge, was because I was exposing the corruption in the Manhattan family court. And she got so perturbed over this that she decided to hold me on a civil contempt without a purge clause.
Which is unlawful.
Yeah.
Completely unlawful. And
But she did it.
but she did it.
She was
She
the
did
judge.
it. She was
She
above
had
the
the
law.
power.
And like you said, and you have an organization saying that these are what judges do. And by the way, I'm the longest civil running inmate in the United States without a purge clause ever, ever.
Congratulations.
So you know, that that's history. The reason it's history is because it was unlawful. And here in my hand I have, I just received this a few days ago from the New York State Court of Appeals. They denied my permission in one sentence, ordered that the said motion be and same hereby is denied. That's all it says.
No reasons.
No reason why they're
When
not
you're a
allowed.
judge, you can
Yeah.
act without giving reasons, and of course you often give no reasons because you can't begin to justify what
can't.
you're doing.
Exactly.
But because you're
How
a
do you
judge,
justify
you do it without any reasons, and you get away with it.
Let me ask you a question. How were you sentenced to 3 years on Rikers Island? Rikers Island is not for sentenced inmates. Rikers Island is a detainee facility, and I'm a retired court officer, but a former New York City corrections officer. They're not supposed to be holding you on Rikers Island if you're sentenced to more than 1 year and a day.
That's right.
How did they retain you on Rikers Island for 3 years? Was it sentenced to 6 months and then they resentenced you and they continue with sentencing on that basis?
She did 6 consecutive 3-month sentences.
Okay, 6 consecutive 6-month sentences.
6-month sentences.
Okay, because that's how she got away with it. By keeping it less than a year on each sentence and then renewing the sentence is what kept you downstate.
No, because Penal Law 70.32D states that when you have misdemeanors,
Yes.
you cannot put somebody incarcerated for more than 2 years. You cannot total them, because otherwise you can total misdemeanors to 20 years. You can't do
Correct.
that. So they actually have a statute stating that 2 years is the max. And then, as you know, as a court officer, you're out in 16 months.
But there's no good time on a civil contempt.
Yes, there is.
Well,
There
then
were
that's
other
a
civ-
change
there were
in the
other
law
civils in
because
there. They got
when I
out.
was a corrections officer, there was no good time for civil contempt. If you were sentenced to 60 days, you did 60 days. If you were sentenced to 6 months, you did the full 6 months.
But
there was
the
no
other
good
the
time.
other civils got out. If they had it's 6, I was the only one with consecutive sentences. The other ones just had 6 months. They got out in 4.
So you never got any good time. You got the full 6 months on each and every
I
time.
not only didn't get good time, but she went over the state statute, which states you can't do more than 24 months. So she violated the state constitution.
Repeatedly,
Yeah.
repeatedly, over and again.
Yeah. It's
And-
just like you said in your organization, they operate above the law.
Well, it's
And the
our
Court of-
organization, I hope, because it's a membership organization, and we bring together people who want to make a difference, who want to change the lawlessness that currently prevails, expose what's going on to make change happen.
Well, I certainly want to be a part of
Yay.
your organization.
How
We're
was
gonna hold
it
you
for
to
you in Rikers Island? You want to explain that for the people out there who have never been incarcerated?
It's not,
What is
it's
it
not a
like?
bad idea to tell people what that experience was like.
Well, it's actually pretty horrific. You're living in a small area, and you're isolated.
Were
Like
you in a dormitory or were in individual cells?
it was one small area for civils, and
Okay.
the criminals had all kinds of different areas. It's like a size of a studio apartment with 5 beds in it. But I was virtually